Yeah, we do.
Dirty. That's what I'm talking about.
We're live. We need to let everyone know why we're laughing. One of us woke up in our dress last night, and we're just trying to work out which one of us is.
I can't remember the last time I wore a dress.
Anyway, I love the fact that even if we wake up in our dress in the morning, we're still turning up to the Friday marketing show. And we should say a little thank you to all the lovely people that have been giving us such great feedback.
Yeah,
we're loving it, aren't we?
I got great feedback that Janine is very funny, and people were enjoying Janine a lot. So I was like, "This is great." So, well done, Janine, on your being funny.
Yeah, we need to keep Janine on the Friday marketing show because she's bringing the banter and the fun. Don't leave us, Janine. Anyway, today we're going to talk about data, which probably is not got so much banter and fun in it, has it? But hopefully we can still have a good time because, I don't know, it feels to me like it's a bit of a dry, unexciting topic, but we are going to bring it to life, hopefully. What does everyone think?
Yeah, I think data can be a bit dry, but actually, even though I'm like, I'm a really creative person, I love looking at numbers. Like, it makes me excited. And I think, like, if you go and look at your Google Analytics or whatever you're looking at, it's kind of an indication of how well you're doing. So you can look at them and be like, yeah, this is great, I'm doing really well. Or you can look at the data and then look for gaps and areas that you need to improve on. And that's exciting in business, isn't it? Because it's all about growth and fine-tuning elements and stuff. So I quite like the numbers, and I'm always surprised by that because my personality isn't, I'm not a numbers person, but I think it can be exciting, looking into it and then looking at what you can tweak and refine.
I can totally relate. Years ago, when I discovered that I love data, it was the first ever PR agency I worked at. And one of our clients was BIC, the stationery lighters and shavers brand. And I was the only one in the office who actually got excited to write the press releases that showed the data about how it's doing compared to its competitors. And I was like, where's this come from? I think I just love knowledge and fact, and data doesn't lie. So this is a true reflection of what's going on. And again, Debbie, like you just said, you can see what's working well, then maybe double down on it. You can see where there are gaps, so then you know what other marketing activities you can do to plug those gaps. So I'm all here for data.
I think we need to rebrand it. I think instead of calling it data or analytics, we should call it success tracking or results. Something exciting.
I know. I was thinking that.
Exciting.
The audio is definitely not very good today, is it? There's something going on with the Webosphere, but we're just going to carry on anyway. But I was thinking that, data is numbers, but it's all kinds of information, isn't it? When you're looking at data on your audience and what their preferences are and what their pain points are and what their challenges are and what their preferences are and what social media accounts they follow and all that kind of stuff. This data encapsulates loads, doesn't it? Encapsulates a lot of different things. So where are we going to start today? Someone give me a hook, a start. Let's think about what should we start with when it comes to data.
We started. I was like, hey.
There's more to come.
Do you want us to up it?
Liz, can I just say, Liz Hamlet, thank you for telling us that the audio is okay. And also Zijan, good morning to you too. Okay. Yes.
I think Laura was the one that said she wanted to geek out about data. And I was like, I'm really excited. Like, what's Laura going to say? So come on, Laura, tell us.
Yeah, exactly. You're on, what's it called? You're on, not display. You're on, you're the one in charge.
Hotspot.
Oh, all right. Yeah, thank you. I'm in the spotlight today. I think the reason I love data is, PR is really difficult to track an ROI. And the only way you can really do that is through data. Whether it's your analytics on social media, whether it's your Google Analytics to see what traffic's being driven to your website. So for me, I think that's what I find fascinating, because you can't always attribute PR to sales because it can take so long. because at the very heart of PR is brand awareness. And how do you measure how many people you're actually kind of infiltrating with your message? Because not everybody takes action on the very first thing that they see of you. You know, they may then follow you on social media. They may join your email list. They may just kind of stalk you from afar, and you there's no way of measuring it. So I think for me, in the industry that I'm in, data really helps to give you, I guess, a live, real life feedback on what's working, because we'd like to think that if you've been featured in the press, people will then flock to your website. So track your Google Analytics. Is anyone actually going to your website following a piece of PR? If it's not, then we maybe have to look at, maybe it was the wrong media outlet, maybe it's the wrong message, maybe it's just taking people much longer to actually take action. So I think for me, that's why I love data. And again, statistics don't lie, but also statistics can make a really juicy PR story as well. And I say to kind of clients all the time, I love digging for gold. I love actually looking at what we have available that we can then turn into a PR story. So for me, again, it's that knowledge, that learning, that seeing, right, what have we got in front of us that we can then utilize to then maximize what you're doing right and double down on it.
I think it's so interesting, isn't it? I see, like, I can totally see when you go into Google Analytics and either you've been doing a TV campaign or you've got some PR, you can literally see that massive uplift, can't you? Or you can see the uplift over time with TV. You know, it's like that real halo effect. So good choice of topic, Laura. I'm happy. What do you think, Janine? I'd love to know about Janine, actually, because I suppose your work's been those big sort of corporates and big businesses, haven't they? So you must have loads of insight on how they use data there. And
yeah, I think for smaller businesses that are watching this and they're a bit overwhelmed, because what we could have done if we were really trying to be helpful is explain all the different types of data and all the different types of analytics, and then suggest which are the bare bones, you know. But we're not that organized, so we're not going to do that.
We can still do it. Okay, let's start. The different types of data.
No, you've got it now.
Janine, you said be helpful.
One more thing to say. Yes, when I worked in big corporates, so that was about 10 years ago now, we had data coming out of our ears. It was amazing. We had a whole customer insight team who we could say, okay, who's likely to leave? So the last job I was in was for EE, which is telecoms, an internet company in the UK. And we would say, okay, who's likely to leave? Who's likely to churn, you know, in 6 months' time? And let's plan a campaign. And we'd go, okay, 100,000 people coming out of contract, and X% of those are likely to leave because of network issues, and X% are likely to leave because of, you know, whatever else. And we'd be able to plan. We'd be able to plan really, really targeted campaigns to get them in there before they've called and they're really, really annoyed and called in to cancel. We'll try and get in there, and then we'd have campaigns to handle what happens when they actually do get on the phone. And we would have campaigns, you know, obviously the acquisition campaigns as well to get new customers. And we'd have loads and loads of data on, okay, we're getting these types of profile of people, and we would analyze like the customer types. And it was just so easy because we had whole departments dealing with the data. I didn't have to do the data digging myself. It's just like, oh, we need a report on this. Oh, here it is. Can I have it in a pie chart? Thank you.
That is the thing, isn't it? I think for smaller businesses who are busy trying to, you know, do what they do, run their business, data and you know, for some people it's a totally new thing, which might be, you know, quite overwhelming, quite confusing. They might not be, you know, data savvy. So should we just quickly talk about the two? Well, what I learned on my mini MBA with Mark Ritson is about the two different kinds of data, the primary and secondary data, with the primary data being your own data, and secondary data being data you can go and find on the internet or, you know, through company reports and things like that. And I suppose there's a use for both of those, isn't there?
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Give us an example of the primary data.
The primary data would be things like, you know, how we do surveys, how we survey our audience, how we survey Growth Collab, how we survey people who've done our online courses, how Janine will say to her clients, ring up, your 5 best clients and ask them, what you liked about working with me, what was good, what wasn't good, what the transformation was, how I could improve, really digging deep down into those customers and understanding as much as we possibly can about them. Things like focus groups. Janine, you always say, don't you just get your 5 favorite clients or your 5 ideal clients and just give them a call and have a chat with them and listen to what they say in their language. And I think the more data that we can get on our clients and customers, the better we can find more clients and customers that look like them, the better we can segment them, the better we can talk to them in their language. We can make the marketing more relevant. And then I suppose you've got the sort of the internal data from things like your CRM. So you could go and have a look at like who, if I look at, say you've got a bigger business and you've got thousands of customers, you could look at your top 10, you could look at the lifetime value, you could look at your top 10% of customers in terms of revenue, and have a look at, where they live and what age they are and maybe dig down deeper there. And then the secondary data would be going to things like Facebook or Google and finding reports, like reports, industry reports saying that there's 20% of people love, doing mindfulness before they go to bed or whatever it might be. I'm only saying that because I do. I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head. But, reports that are telling you about what people are doing in the industry. Janine, any thoughts on that? What have I missed out? What can we add to those 2 different kinds of data?
So I like that distinction between primary and secondary, and also I think there's a distinction to be made. I'm feeling like a matrix coming on, like a matrix, because another way to chop it up is customer insights, sort of like market research type data, and sales and retention data. So there's sort of the insights and how people are feeling, and use that to influence what offers you're putting together and your messaging. And then there's the data to say, okay, this is a little bit harder data, like are these ads working, sort of at bigger numbers.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether this is exactly right, but qualitative and quantitative. So quantitative is
numbers, isn't it? Like you've got that too. You can you're getting experiences and getting people to tell you their story, and then you've got these like hard numbers they're just there, aren't they? And you can look at
you need to dig a bit deeper into the personal stories to get the truth behind the numbers.
Yeah, and even things like when we ran our agency, and we'd be looking at things like the customer lifetime value of the customers for our clients, and we looking at the data, you could see that the lifetime value for customers that came through paid ads, Google paid ads, where there was maybe more intent, was higher than the lifetime value of customers that came through Facebook. So actually you'd be happy to pay more to get a client through PPC or Google ads than you would from Facebook, because you're looking at that data. And I think that's another really important thing to think about, isn't it? That the averages can sometimes be misleading, because if you said, okay, cool, well, our clients are worth us on average $2,000, we can spend £1,000 to acquire one, but actually the clients that you get through a particular channel might only be worth 500 quid to you. They might come once and never come back again.
And I suppose that's the quality of the leads as well.
Yes. Everyone just looked like totally bored there. Like,
I think it weaves back to the message that we say every single week, and I don't think we'll ever get bored of saying it, is understanding where your kind of perfect fit ideal clients are coming from. And again, this is where data helps. So if we're doing everything everywhere, then how do we know what's really working? And sometimes someone will say to me, well, which platform do you get more engagement on? I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know, because I haven't spent the time analysing the data and having a look at the analytics. So I'm just kind of thinking Facebook, because that's where I spend a lot of time. But actually, it's LinkedIn. So I'm like, spend less time on Facebook, spend more time on LinkedIn, and just keep building and building. And I think one thing as well for kind of smaller businesses, coaches and consultants, because it's a slower burn, because a lot of it is kind of personal relationships, personal outreach, you don't really know how much time realistically you're spending to bring that lead into your business. Because, I mean, I don't time track. I don't like clock in and clock out to know how long it's taking. And I just think, again, just finding what really works for you, using the analytical tools available to us to make better judgment of kind of where to focus on growth.
What should people be tracking then? What data should people be tracking as a bare minimum then, do you believe? And open to anyone who wants to answer that.
I've got one. Can I get in there first before anybody else says anything? Look, Debbie's chomping at the bit. Go on then, you go first. But if you say what I was going to say, I'll be really angry.
You're so kind, aren't you? No, you go.
Come on, Janine.
I'm going to go. All right then.
Yeah.
One of the major things, and this is what you're talking about, Laura, is conversion.
Yes.
So don't get hung up on engagement and likes on social media, or how many emails have you sent out, and open rates are all well and good. But are you converting those leads? You know, are they converting easily? Are they converting into good quality clients? You know, that actually, you know, you get them on a sales call and you click and you just want to work with them. I know this isn't the, you know, all of the, I'm thinking more consultants, coaches, trainers, mentors, that kind of thing that, you know, have high touch sales calls. But it goes for any size of business and any type of service, really. Are you getting good quality customers, and are they easy to convert? Because if they're not, then something more fundamental is wrong.
And they're coming back as well. You know, the lifetime value, you know, we don't just want them to buy once, do we? We want them to keep coming back.
Yeah, that's super important. And I love the fact that in Google Analytics, you can set up goals as well. So I can see, like, where do I acquire the customers? Are they from SEO? Are they from different platforms? Are they from links from other websites? And then how many of them end up on your sales page or your book a call page or your, you know, I'm going to buy your product page? I think that stuff's really important. And that if you're an e-commerce website, or you'll know whether you've made those sales, and if you're coaches and consultants like us, then you'll be like, okay, so many people have ended up on my sales page, this many people have booked a call, and I've converted this many people. And I think once you know that, you can start tweaking the messaging or changing the way that you mention things, or like kind of Emmy said, if you know that actually most of your high value customers come from Google, for example, then maybe it's worthwhile putting effort in or time into SEO and doing less of, I don't know, maybe you're spending loads of time on Instagram, but when you actually look at your analytics, hardly any of your clients come from Instagram. And we've only got so much time, haven't we, to do all of this stuff. So I think it's really important to see what's working and then do more of that. And maybe it enables you to ditch some of the other stuff, which means that we can make better use of our time and work smarter, which is really important when we run businesses.
Has anyone got any data they want to share? I mean, I'd be happy to share some data that I found, which is that the 1 or 2 clients that I've got from SEO have not actually been a good fit. They've just been, they don't know, like, or trust me because they found me through SEO, and they're just looking at the price that I charge, probably comparing me to another business growth consultant, and obviously I'm going to probably be more expensive, and they haven't been my ideal client. Whereas when I've looked at the figures and the numbers, what works really well for me, the data that I've got, is the strategic partners, the people that already have access to my audience. They recommend me, and there's already that know, like, and trust in place. And those clients they hang around much longer. They're, you know, really good, fun to work with. And I've just found that, you know, that's a bit of data that I've found. I'd love to know, have any of you got any data on what's working for you in your businesses?
I think that for me, SEO works really well, and I've had some really lovely clients who have found me via Google and then pay and work. So it's really interesting, that different story, isn't it? And it's like we're both, you know, supporting businesses to grow, but we've got a really different example of working. And if we didn't know the data, we wouldn't know that, would we? Like, you wouldn't know that they aren't, you know, there's not a lot good lifetime customer value for them if they find you on Google. Where for me, some of my favorite clients have just Googled business coach and ended up on my website and have bought my services. And I really love working with them, and they're super interesting. They've got really interesting businesses. So I think part of the stuff of marketing is being curious and testing stuff out. But you can only do that if you can measure.
Maybe your sales page is better, Debbie, than mine. Maybe they land on your website and they're like, Debbie looks amazing, I want to work with her. And you know, it could be that, couldn't it? It's interesting to know. It's really interesting, and to, like you said, to keep exploring, like what, you know, marketing is just testing, isn't it? It's testing a hypothesis and basically saying, I'm going to test what I think is right. Janine, have you got any insights or that from your business or from any of the businesses you've worked with?
Yeah, the quality of the leads I get through SEO are variable, and I'm in the process, as you know, of tightening up my messaging. And I think there is, you know, there's an interesting thing. I mean, you, Emmy, using you as an example, you could say, okay, SEO isn't delivering me very high quality leads. I'm getting really fabulous leads through strategic partnerships and community building. So I prefer that, actually. So I will focus on that. Or you could say, okay, let's really dig into why that SEO is not working, and make sure that I'm taking them on a journey, and that I have appropriate lead magnets, and I have plenty of content, and I get them on my subscriber list, and I nurture them and then offer them an appropriate offer. You know, you could do that and you could make it work. I have no doubt. But is it what you're going to enjoy? Is it a quick enough win for you? Maybe it's something to deal with in a year or two, and actually for you it's far more enjoyable and far more worth your time, really doubling down on what you really love and what's really, really working for you. So that's interesting, isn't it? But I'm similar. I do get leads through my website, and they're variable, sort of whether they are the right fit. So I'm in the process of rejigging the whole thing, and I've got some lead magnets that aren't really working for me, and I can see exactly why. So it's just like, oh God, I've got to go through the whole lot. It's like this mountain that I'm just ignoring until I've moved house.
I love that idea of doubling down on what's working. That's really important, isn't it? It's like, you don't have to do all the things, and if something's not floating your boat, that's okay. Actually look at what's working and just fine tune that and make that better, because like you said, you're going to enjoy it and stuff. And it's not about making everything better. It's about working on the stuff that you enjoy and that's working, and make it even better. Doubling down. Come on.
What about you, Laura?
Every single client I've signed, every single sale I've made this year has been through somebody I am personally connected with, which I enjoy. I love it, because I love talking to people. I love having conversations. But it's just interesting, because some clients I've worked with this year, I met at a networking meeting 2 or 3 years ago, and they just happened to be silently watching and just waiting for the right time. And I just think being especially part of Growth Collab, is I'm now having conversations with other like-minded businesses, and I'm getting referrals and recommendations. And for me, it's brilliant, because that's what I love. But then part of me is like, well, if you just kind of put a little bit more effort into other marketing tactics, how would the growth of your business look? So, which is why at the minute I'm focusing on building out a lot of content. Again, I'm going to do personal outreach because I enjoy it. Like I don't really, you know, Reels. I'm going to use Reels as an example. People are like, oh yeah, you need to do Reels because the engagement's huge. And I'm like, but what's the conversion rate? What's the call to action? Like, for me, there are too many steps to see the end result. Whereas when I'm having a conversation with someone, I actually am interested in you. Like, when I work with clients, I want to be like, I mean, not your best friend, but I want to know about you. You know, I care about you. You're not just, you know, paying my mortgage. I actually love what you do, and that's why I want to work with you. So for me, it's very much kind of relationship building, personal outreach and referrals. But that's only going to take me so far. I need to do more of the kind of marketing tactics to kind of just let some stuff automate itself, so I'm not constantly the one doing the work.
It's really interesting. I think, yeah, you get to a point, don't you? So with the, you know, we're all coaches and consultants, so, and we have our time is limited, even if we, you know, make money in us to sleep and do all these things that we can do. But I'm thinking about like some of the clients that I work with, and you know, their businesses, and they do want to scale, and then so they are going to do more than word of mouth, and they need to, you know, look at those those other channels and stuff. But you know, the data is just so interesting, isn't it, to be able to report weekly on what's working, what's not working, which creative's working, which messaging's working, and which audience, you know, targeting's working. Like on Facebook, it's just amazing, all the different things that you can track, and you can, you know, once you see something working, you, like Janine was saying, you can double down on that, but tweak the creative, tweak the offer, tweak the message, and you know, your campaigns can be really quite diverse.
I think, because I was just reminded, like, I have run for ages in Nottingham a thing called the Blue Stockings Society, which is for female entrepreneurs, and it's a Facebook group. Nothing like the Growth Collab, which is amazing, of course. You know, it's
I bet it is amazing. Get them all to join the Growth Collab.
We'll get them all. We need to, you know, the Growth Collab is fabulous. More part of that. But I did a piece of work like a year ago where we've run this network for 7 or 8 years, and I added up how much money it had been worth to me in connections I'd made, clients, projects that I'd been involved in, different various businesses, and it was so much money. And it was like, the power of building relationships is what businesses are built on, and I think that can't be underestimated. And while Laura's kind of said, you know, in less words, but it's time consuming, actually that's worth its weight in gold, isn't it? Building relationships with people, building your networks, getting out there, meeting people, communicating with people. For my business, that's been the thing that's been the growth, like under no uncertain terms. Of course, it's great when people arrive via Google and I'm like, I haven't really done anything, and you've just appeared out of nowhere, and this is great. But the bulk of the work is all via those relationships, and I think that's super important to think about how you can do that, how you can do that more, how you can double down on the things that are working, and really look at how you can build those, because the world's built on people, isn't it? So let's meet each other more and do stuff. So things like this are great, and we're going to get more people on, aren't we, to be special guests, and that's going to be more.
Yeah, we've got Leah Tanner next week, who's an amazing LinkedIn expert. Yeah, I think, you know, that's what I love about doing this. Obviously, we can have a bit of a laugh, but also we can learn from other people. And actually, you know, I think, well, we'll have to see, won't we? It's really interesting. So with Clubhouse, I did test that out for a while, and then I looked at the data, and I looked at the insights, and I was like, and, you know, Debbie, it's kind of like going a bit quiet, wasn't it? And I just thought, I don't actually think that Clubhouse is working for me. You know, if I've got 3 hours a week, I'd actually rather do some masterclasses with strategic partners who've got access to my audience, who actually need what I want, or create some really good content, or do something like this, which we can repurpose, which obviously you can't with Clubhouse. So yeah, it's definitely, I think it's just really important to track the basics, isn't it? To track what are you doing? Oh, Debbie, you going? You're going to get your dress. You're going to go.
But I've just seen Peter's comments that said he's sorry he couldn't make it, but he doesn't have anything yellow to wear. So we need to get Peter back on. And
I know. I said to Peter, do you want to come and talk about data? But I think he thought it was way too boring, so he just said no. I don't know. Do we have to wear yellow?
I nearly wore yellow this morning. The only reason I didn't is because the jumper's slightly too tight. Otherwise, I also would have been yellow.
Okay, cool. Well, yes. I mean, now that Debbie and I have come together to do Growth Collab, we're all members, we are going to have to go a bit more yellow.
You want to do a little pitch about Growth Collab, because Laura was talking about it earlier and how fab it is.
Yes, exactly. So if anyone doesn't know about Growth Collab is something that Debbie and I host. It's a monthly meetup mastermind for talented, ambitious consultants, strategists, anyone who is selling their services and who wants to collaborate and connect with like-minded women. What would you say, Janine? Come on, give us a little bit of a why are you a member, apart from that you get to be on the Friday marketing show?
Why am I a member? You know,
don't say you're going to cancel.
Why, Janine? Why?
I remember you telling me about it, Emmy, and I was like, "Oh, Gordon Bennett, do I need another membership? This is and then you were like, "Oh, it's fun people," and I was like, "Oh, go on then, I'll just give it a go." And I can't describe the surprise when I went along. It's like, wow, these people are really amazing. You know, you've somehow attracted this fabulous group of women, and everybody's sort of on the same vibe. Everybody's sort of like having fun, and they're ambitious, and they're talented, and they're open-minded, and they're growth mindseted, and it's a great gang.
Oh, I like those descriptive words, Janine. I might have to steal those for the marketing messaging.
Yeah.
Pop it in your messaging.
Exactly, that's it, isn't it? That's the data right there.
Yeah.
And Laura, you're going to hang around at Growth Coder for a while, aren't you? You're not going to leave us.
Of course, but again, similar to Janine, I was like, oh, it's another membership? Do I need it? Am I going to show up? Really is kind of how I make decisions these days. Am I invested enough to show up? But yeah, I love it. And I also love the fact it's not on social media. I love that there's no Facebook group attributed to it. I love the fact that you're showing up and you're actually connecting with people and having conversations. But then there's no pressure to do like a 60-second elevator pitch. There's no pressure to have coffee chats in between the meetings. And again, like Janine, I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's like-minded, growth-minded business owners, because I think we've all been to kind of more local networking meetings where, you know, without being rude, your ideal clients aren't hanging out, and you think, I'm investing time and effort and money in not really generating anything. I also love the fact it's online. I don't have to leave the house. I don't have to spend time commuting. I don't have to worry about exactly what I'm wearing. I can just show up and be me. And I think what you've done, Emmy, is actually bring together a group of women where there's like, I don't feel like there's any judgment. Like, we're all just meeting each other where we are, helping, supporting, and it doesn't always have to be business related, you know, because some of us, we have a really bad day and we may not actually want to attend. And I think one of the ladies said that the other week. I wasn't going to turn up because I'm in a funk, but actually you've all lifted me up. Thank you. And it's like, wow, I've actually played like a part in someone's day. So yeah, I think it's very different to what I've experienced networking wise. And yeah, I'm here for a while.
Amazing. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think it can be lonely working on your own. We all know that. And we're here to support, collaborate. We're not trying to sell to each other, for sure. I think that's the other thing. We are just trying to have fun and collaborate on projects, because it's a mass of amazingly talented women who are really good at what they do. Anyway, that's Growth Collab. Today was data. I think we had a good chat about data. Next week we're going to be doing content marketing. We've got LinkedIn expert Leah Turner joining us, so that's going to be really, really interesting. And have an amazing weekend, everyone.
Thank you. See you all next week.
Bye.